I'm going to ask you this question, Sean, because I think that we have the same opinion, but very different experiences. So, Sean, if I'm a beginner, how do I get hired as a copywriter?
Any possible freaking way that you can.
Yeah.
Literally, like this is very much an all roads lead to Rome kind of thing where you can approach this career, this business, this vocation, this profession, whatever you want to frickin' call it, and you can get there by any means necessary. Now, we have some personal preferences. Like for me, I think possibly different from Alex, I started in-house and I actually started working in direct response marketing. First I did freelance for a little bit after I quit my teaching career. And I actually reached out to people on Craigslist, sold writing services on Craigslist. And then I got a part-time job as a proofreader. And then from proofing, I moved up into managing editing and then content writing and then copywriting and then all the way to publishing and management. And copy chiefing, all that fun stuff. So for me, being in-house, it was really, really cool for me because I got paid to learn how to do this stuff. And if it's one thing that I've learned as a teacher, if you are stressed or in shambles or freaking out in any way, you need that money to be coming in, you're not going to learn as well. You're not going to learn as quickly than if you know that you have your basic, the bottom two sections of Maslow's hierarchy of needs are met. If those are good, well, then your career is going to take off much more quickly than if you are just eat what you kill, always hunting and gathering, always trying to prospect, always trying to get a new client kind of deal.
For anyone who doesn't know the terms, in-house just refers to there is a company who are paying you as an employee in a salary position, and you are just doing the marketing or the copywriting for them. So you're just working with one company and you're an employee there. The opposite side of it is freelance. And I think in this space, and if you're a beginner and maybe you've seen other stuff about copywriting online, most of the stuff you will have seen is about freelance copywriting. Freelance juxtaposed to in-house simply means you are working with multiple clients. They can be individuals, they can be businesses, they can be big corporations. But the point is you are your own business and you work with them at different times on different projects. You can have multiple things at one time. You can also just be working with one at a time. But the point is they're always contracting out to you. So you're not an employee there. That's the big difference. And I think that's a really good place to start with this question. How do I get hired as a copywriter? The first thing, you don't need to make a hard and fast decision on this, but the first thing to kind of be aware of is that the biggest difference is going to be in-house versus freelance. That's the biggest kind of first fork in the road, where you need to have a think about what is it that you value and what would you ideally like to do. One of them may appeal so much more than the other. And if that's the case, great, go for that. If neither of them appeal, or you don't really mind which one you do, my advice is to try both and see what works. Honestly, with everything, no matter how granular you go, no matter which job getting method, that we'll talk about a few in a moment, no matter which job getting method you use, my advice, if you're a beginner, is always to just try a few. Work hard on them and put a lot of effort into them when you're doing them, but play the field a little bit, have a look at different ways of doing things and see what works. So the first big decision really is, or the first thing you need to think about is in-house or freelance. If you need a stable income and you just really need that, then honestly, I would advise trying to focus more on in-house if you can. If you're in a position to apply for those roles, if either you're somewhere locally where there's a lot of agencies or a lot of businesses who hire, or you can reach out to people who are hiring for remote roles. I would say try and favor that if you absolutely need stability right this second, because the fact of the matter is in-house is, for the most part, in most situations, in-house is easier to manage just because someone else is dealing with your expenses, someone else is paying the tax for you, someone else is making sure that you have everything lined up, you have sick days, you haven't got to worry about where the next paycheck is coming from. It's a lot easier, it's a lot more stable, mostly. So if that's really what you're worried about and you feel like, oh, I need stability, then sure, maybe look more at in-house. If you just want to go for it and you want less of a ceiling initially and you want a bit more freedom to try different things, maybe even if you think I need to get started really quickly, freelance tends to be the avenue most people take, just because you can jump around from client to client. You can try a bunch of different things. You can spend your time crafting pitches to people and trying to get roles and positions with different companies. Like, that's fine. The only warning with that is it is not the fairy gold cuckoo lovely land that you've heard of in a load of Facebook ads and YouTube videos. It's not easy. It's not a simple thing to, like, well, it can be simple, but it's not an easy thing to get these freelance positions. Sean, is this blowing your mind right now?
What? I thought that I could be a six-figure copywriter, like writing with my feet in the sands of a tropical beach. What are you talking about?
Unless you already live in Hawaii, it's not going to happen, people. Like, I'm sorry to burst the bubble. And the reason I'm being so blunt about this is because I know so many people join these streams and look at these videos because they have been sold this dream of, oh my God, copywriting is the key to financial freedom and being a millionaire. For 99% of people, it is not. It just isn't. It's a great career and we love it. And there are loads of opportunities there, but you have to work hard and you can't expect riches immediately. I would say on average, not even for your first like few years as a copywriter. You can't expect to be earning like six figures. It's possible and it's been done.
Yeah.
It's probably only going to be the case for about 10% of people. You can believe you're that 10% if you want, but I'm just trying to be straight up.
Have you ever seen the movie Dumb and Dumber?
I haven't.
So there's this great scene where Jim Carrey is hearing this person basically describe like how unlikely something is, just how just unbelievably out of the ordinary something like there would have to be such an out of control, out of the ordinary like series of events that would need to happen in order for something to be accomplished. And Jim Carrey just goes, "So you're saying there's a chance?" And I have a feeling that whenever we say things like, it takes a few years to make six figures as a freelance copywriter, it's extremely rare to make that much money very, very early on. I have a feeling that every beginner watching this now and in the future goes, "So you're saying that it's going to be me?"
Yeah.
It's like lotto winners and people who trade stocks. Like, they assume that they are in the upper decile of lucky, intelligent people who are always going to get everything that they want and need. So
I think you're right on that. And hey, it's not a bad thing to believe it, because one thing I'll say is the only people who do make it are the people who believe that.
If you want to go in-house, you need to have pretty decent portfolio of spec pieces. Spec pieces are pieces that are written not necessarily for a job, but are written to basically give an example of what you can do, what you're capable of producing. You need to have a pretty good CV and pretty good sample pack. I spoke to the executive creative director of one of the biggest ad agencies in America relatively recently. That is on the youtube.com/copy that channel, which you can watch if you want. But he basically said he never looks at resumes and CVs. He just looks at portfolio samples. He's looking for people to surprise and delight him. And I have found that most people on like executive directors and senior copywriters on the hiring side, they're all kind of like that. Like if you get an HR person, God help you. On the freelance side, if you just want to go where there are people who are hiring, Upwork is fine. If you are too young, or if you cannot access Upwork from your country, then cold emailing might be the right way for you. But I will be honest with you, there are a lot of cold emails out there, and most of them don't get work.
I would say, apart from you, Sean, everyone I know who got into copywriting went freelance. And I'd say you're also an anomaly because you're an anomaly anyway. But you're an anomaly because obviously you're in the financial world and you had that relatively unorthodox route in. No one has the same route, but I would say most people who are working copywriters who I know or associate with definitely came in through the freelance side. And maybe we can talk about that another time, because I don't want to get too deep into that right now.